Hey guys, happy day 48 or 49 of Catechism in a year. I'm not sure what day it'll be by the time I get this up. I am Anna, a lifelong Southern Baptist who is going through the Catholic Catechism along with my brothers and sisters who are also following along with Father Mike Schmidt's new podcast. So today feels a little bit different. To this point in the year or in the podcast, everything I've heard from the Catechism, it's been like I either agreed with according to my own beliefs or I was kind of neutral about it. And of course, y'all know I've loved a lot of it. But finally, this week, I ran into something that made me go, whoa, what? So the past maybe like 10 days or so, it's been really interesting for me because when it comes to God, who God is, the nature of God, the Trinity, although these are areas where it's like very deep theological topics, they are also areas of like heavy agreement between Protestants and Catholic. And I knew that going in, so it's been sort of refreshing to just set my mind to cruise control and enjoy the podcast without really having to parse out, all right, this is Catholic stuff and this is common ground. So yeah, I've really enjoyed the past 10 days or so. And of course, I may come back and kind of, talk about them a little bit, but I didn't really feel like I had a ton to add to the conversation. However, then we hit day 46 and I'm chilling, everything's cool, everything's good. I'm super ready to learn about angels because what an awesome, super cool topic. And Father Mike says,
I have a guardian angel. And your guardian angel is literally with you right now.
Wait, hold on. My guardian angel is with me right now? Okay, so I don't know if this is a topic that gets talked about a whole lot. And even Father Mike said that, there are periods of time where there'll be a heavy focus on angels. There are periods of time where the ideal will just kind of fade into the background. But just hearing this casually mentioned, it really struck me. And because I have been looking into Catholicism for a few years now, I think I've kind of grown accustomed to some of the weird Catholic teachings. So I haven't had this moment in a while. And I want to share a little bit just about what it's like, as a Protestant Southern Baptist, when I'm presented with a teaching that makes my "that's not in the Bible" alarm go off. The Father Mike just casually says, your guardian angel is with you right now. And that sounds so good. And let me be clear, the idea of guardian angels is not completely disregarded in Protestantism, but it's also not regarded as official teaching in any way that I'm aware of. Someone might mention guardian angels, we may joke about them. We may make the mistake of assigning a loved one who has passed away as being our guardian angel. That actually seems to be a common mistake in both Protestantism and Catholicism, and that brings on some sadness when a person learns that can't be true. I hated seeing some of those sad moments in the Facebook group this week. Okay, but I don't think I've ever heard any pastor, preacher, or leader speak about guardian angels in any sort of official capacity. So hearing Father Mike say that, it made like sirens go off in my head. And I knew this was going to happen at some point. I picked up on a few things that I knew for sure wouldn't show up in a Protestant catechism, like Mary being the perfect embodiment of faith. That's something I will come back to, but it wasn't something that made those sirens blare. It might be because even though I have been looking into Catholicism for a while, guardian angels they don't come up much in debate or in talks. They aren't some big dividing issues, so just the idea isn't something that I've heard a lot about in the past few years. So it was interesting to have this moment, and I wanted to talk about what that feels like when a lifelong Protestant here's a weird Catholic teaching. Okay, so at first, it reminds me of that game Operation. Okay, so where you have to take the tweezers and like grab something without touching the metal sides, or it gives you that little electric shock. So yeah, it was like, I was listening, everything's cool, everything's fine. And then Father Mike just casually says, your guardian angel is with you right now. And I get that electric shock. And my brain goes, that's not in the Bible, which can be a good thing, right? I am Protestant, I am Southern Baptist, so my "that's not in the Bible" alarm should be in full working condition. But this experience made me wonder, okay, do my Catholic friends understand what is happening here? In my mind, body, emotions, all of that. It's honestly almost like this fight or flight response. This reaction, warranted or not, is this something transferable to the Catholic experience? Is this something is this something you can understand? So I hear this teaching and I get that immediate shock to my system because I've been presented with something that my being has identified as potentially dangerous information because I perceive it as unbiblical. And there are a few different ways to react to this reaction. Many people react with anger toward the thing that is presenting them with this information, with anger or with fear, sometimes both. And that can explain a lot of the closed-mindedness that Catholics often feel from their Protestant friends regarding Catholic doctrine. Weird Catholic doctrine. So very often you might get that closed off, just completely shut down, like vibe from your Protestant friends. That thing that makes it seem like, okay, you know what? No matter how much good evidence I present to you regarding this topic, you are never ever gonna even consider that this teaching is possibly maybe okay because you don't see it in the Bible. That wall that has come up, that is a safeguard. We've talked about this with the Catechism, that the Catechism is sort of drawing these parameters. You can play within the confines of these safeguards. When you breach what a Protestant understands to be biblical, you have presented them with information outside of their parameters, outside of that safeguard. It's really hard to blame someone for safeguarding themselves, their family or their friends. You know, whether it's right or it's wrong, that person believes it is an act of love to double down and reject any teaching that they perceive as unbiblical. I'm going through the Catholic Catechism. I obviously respond to this feeling with curiosity rather than anger or fear. But I will not dare say that makes me better, smarter, more Christian than someone who doubles down. You know, we all agree that healthy skepticism is a good thing. It's when that skepticism becomes too visceral, too exclusive, potentially very like pharisaical. When it becomes too much like a Pharisee, that is when that reaction becomes unhealthy, not useful, and sort of a deterrent to non-believers or Christians who are questioning or are struggling with differences in denominations. Yeah, I almost didn't think to mention this, but this phenomenon, it isn't just a Protestant and Catholic thing. This unbiblical shock to the system, that happens between Protestants of different denominations too, because of different biblical interpretation and the ways different churches worship. Anyway, I wanted to paint this picture because it's been a moment since I had that experience myself, that feeling of, hold on, wait, what'd you just say? Hold the heavenly phone, that is not in the Bible. And you know, I can tell from the comments I read, from everything I've heard over the past few years, that Catholics often feel very vilified by Protestants. So I wanted to share a little bit behind why these reactions can seem so visceral, because even though it's probably impossible to not take an attack on Catholic doctrine personally. You know, if you are Catholic and you hold Catholic doctrine very close to your heart, if someone's attacking Catholic doctrine, that's gonna feel personal. And side note, okay, sometimes it is personal. Sometimes people just like to fight. But a lot of the time, it's not personal at all. A lot of time, that visceral reaction you're seeing is a safeguard. And so that's something that I'm sort of becoming passionate about, is understanding that kind of thought process, because that wall has got to start to come down if we're going to have conversations across denominations. We're going to have to find safeguards that allow us to still communicate without shutting each other down. So I wanted to draw some sort of comparison. So maybe as a Catholic, maybe you get that same shock to the system feeling when you hear someone teach that Christ isn't physically present in the Eucharist. I kind of can't imagine a much more scandalizing topic than that for someone who is a devout Catholic. So maybe the equivalent to a Protestant's "that's not in the Bible" buzzer is a Catholic's "that's not what the church teaches" buzzer. I do want to note that I understand every Catholic teaching is measured against Scripture, and the Catholic Church does not teach anything it believes contradicts Scripture. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. So yeah, I think that's a decent example. Also, just to kind of come full circle and back to what we're talking about this week, I think another decent example is this sort of shot to the system feeling that a Catholic person may get when they see another Catholic say, "I've named my guardian angel." The reactions I saw this week when someone would say that they've named their guardian angel, the emotions around that reaction seem very close to the reaction that we as Protestants have when we're scared someone has believed something unbiblical. So I'm feeling like the same feeling that you may experience as a Catholic when someone says they've named their guardian angel is possibly extremely similar feeling that I get as a Protestant, at least as a Southern Baptist. If you tell me that you firmly believe that each person has an assigned specific guardian angel that you can have a relationship with. For me, upon hearing that information, my mind screams, that's not in the Bible. There is potential danger to your soul here. For you, if you're Catholic, when you hear that someone has named their guardian angel, your mind screams, that's not what the church teaches. There is potential danger to your soul here. You know, and I think we all need to understand that this is something real that happens in a Christian person when we're presented with information we're uncomfortable with. Whether our concern is for ourselves or the person we're talking to, this reaction is very real. It's more than a rub against our intellectual understanding of scripture or doctrine. These topics we disagree on can cause literal fight or flight reactions because we feel there is potential danger there. I really hope that makes some sense. Let me circle back to the topic at hand. Guardian angels are not completely disregarded by Protestants. You know, angels being our guardians, fine. Angels working for our good, cool. People may reference guardian angels in conversation, joke about them, or like many Catholics, mistakenly believe that their loved ones who have passed can potentially be their guardian angel. So that is a life experience that we have in common. I like to highlight those. The idea of guardian angels is not lost on the Protestant, but for it to be an official teaching that each person has an assigned guardian angel, it's like, pump the brakes, that's too specific. You know, we might talk amongst ourselves about ideas like that, but if we heard a teacher, preacher, pastor, whatever, teach this idea in any official capacity, it would scandalize us, it would shock us, and it would potentially cause fear of, anger toward the person who is making that claim. It's the specificity that we have an issue with, not the grand idea. The specificity of the official teaching when we can't find quite enough evidence of that claim in scripture to make us comfortable with it. That causes us to put that guard up, even when we like the idea. And you know, it's hard to blame someone for having that safeguard. I guess what I'm trying to do here is admit that I personally experienced that this week with this topic, that fight or flight, danger, that's not in the Bible feeling. And I don't think that's something that we get to see sort of under the microscope very often. So I wanted to take the opportunity to sort of do that, you know, like put my own experience under the microscope and think, all right, what just happened here? Or how can understanding what's going on here help us understand each other better? And what I'm landing on is sort of this. We both have these alarm systems. Mine goes off when I hear something I perceive as unbiblical. A Catholic's alarm system goes off when they hear something that goes against what the Catholic Church teaches, which means we both potentially have this intellectual, mental, emotional, spiritual, dude, even physical a little bit, reaction when we sense that sort of danger. So if you're a person who wants to engage in conversation with someone outside of your denomination, it's a good thing to be able to spot that in yourself and understand when you might be coming on a little bit strong and causing that reaction in someone else. Because once this happens, the conversation becomes completely unfruitful. That reaction is a reason that things can get real ugly real quick, you know? And that's where progress stops. I need to wrap this up. I feel like I'm just flying this plane and I'm not landing it very well. I don't know enough about guardian angels specifically to expand on the topic. I think it's a cool topic, and I'll continue to dive into it privately, I'm sure. But this felt like a safe topic to discuss that intense feeling and reaction because it isn't a salvific issue. It doesn't even really approach salvation. I haven't had that feeling in a long time. So since I keep calling this Protestant Reacts to the Catholic Catechism, which obviously is a very clickbaity title, please forgive me, I wanted to share that literal reaction. So if you're watching and you're Protestant like me, let me know how this information landed on your ears. Do you have a different view on guardian angels than I do? Are you okay with the specificity of this teaching? Specifically, paragraph 336 of the Catechism. Were you taught about guardian angels in your Protestant church? I wasn't. Do you relate to that Operation Man electric shock? That's not in the Bible alarm system. Just let me know. If you are Catholic, let me know if this helps at all in understanding some of that closed-mindedness that you feel from Protestants. You know, I'm genuinely passionate about understanding how each side thinks and how our life experiences and our faith experiences affect the way we communicate. I'm still listening every day, and I hope you are too. I love reading your comments, so please interact with this. Let me know what I'm getting right. Let me know what I'm getting wrong. I'm here to learn from other people who are just like me, just members of the laity. Your experience is it's important to me because our lived experiences really make a difference in how we communicate. Yeah, that is it for now. Y'all have an awesome weekend, and I will see you next time.